Alright, people, you know who I am, you know what it is, let's keep the ball rolling. Okay, good of you to put a soundtrack on that, by the way. You know, these text video questions are pretty boring when it's just 15 seconds of text on the screen and no music or anything, so the next time we do this, everybody else take your cues from that guy. Now, you have a really good memory because you, under the quote of mine that you used, you put paraphrase, but that was almost verbatim, as I remember it. So unless that video is still floating around someplace, you've got an uncanny memory. And I used to make a lot of stunning arguments against agnosticism back in the day. I don't know why you picked on the notorious Noid argument. But I'll stand by it. I think it was a good argument then. I think it's a good argument now. And I think you kind of phrased your question incorrectly. You said that I have an objection to agnosticism because agnostics refuse to divorce an idea from its origin. I have a problem with the fact that they do divorce ideas from their origin when the idea is the existence of some kind of mythological creature. Now, you brought up Carl Sagan and this statement that was issued by, I believe, some Harvard astronomer called Objections to Astrology. And that was a statement that was co-authored, or not co-authored, but it was endorsed by a whole bunch of Nobel Prize winning scientists, so it wasn't just some nutbag manifesto. You called it a manifesto. No, this was a pretty respectable thing, and that's really what Carl Sagan's problem with it was. It was too respectable. He didn't like that it had this authoritarian tone, like, you know, oh, well, the high priests of science say that this is bullshit, and just don't pay attention to it at all. He didn't like that. He didn't like that reasons weren't cited enough, and it was more just of like a fiat, you know, statement that came down the pike and said, hey, ignore this bullshit because we're the guys in the white coats and we say so. But, you know, I fucking hate it when you agnostic assholes trot out Carl Sagan and try to point to him and say, oh, Carl Sagan was an agnostic. No, asshole. I hate it when you guys fucking try to ride the corpse of a great man into some semblance of fucking credibility to which you have no legitimate claim. Alright, because Carl Sagan was an agnostic only insofar as Bertrand Russell was an agnostic. You know, when these guys call themselves agnostics, it's not the same as when fucking Admiral Peacock says it. You know, if you had asked Carl Sagan, flat out, are leprechauns fictitious? Do they not exist? He would have given you the same answer. He would have said, well, the evidence is crummy, I don't see any reason to believe, but can I just state flat out that they don't exist? No. Because he was a scientist and he had a strict dedication to factual accuracy in all things, and he tried to make that a big part of his conversation. Now, this calls to mind that there was a scientist named Immanuel Velikovsky who wrote a book called Worlds in Collision. And in this book, he tries to, it's kind of like creation science. He tries to use phony pseudoscience to back up some of the things in the Old Testament. He says, well, the Great Flood that Noah survived, that was because a piece of Jupiter broke off, which later became Venus, and it flew past the Earth and came so close to the Earth's orbit that the gravitation caused the flood. And he just said all this stupid bullshit. Now, Sagan, of course, being an accomplished astronomer who knew that wasn't true, he debunked the guy's claims a million times. Yet, when publishers started to refuse to print Velikovsky's book, and universities started turning him down for lectures and so forth and so on, etc., and there began to be a movement to preclude him from the scientific conversation, Carl Sagan came to his defense. He said, no, you know, we don't ignore ideas, no matter how ridiculous they sound. We're going to give this guy his place at the table, and then we're just going to debunk his ass, but, you know, he gets his place at the table. So, you know, you pointing at Carl Sagan and saying that's an agnostic is fucking bullshit. Alright, because I could show you a million goddamn quotes where it becomes apparent that Carl Sagan had no belief in God and thought the idea was fucking ridiculous. Alright, the man just had a dedication to factual accuracy, and that's all it is. Alright, so stop fucking trotting out Carl Sagan as a great man agnostic, because he fucking wasn't, you idiots. God, I fucking get sick of that shit. You're always doing it too. Anyway, so to get back to the Noid thing, you said, well, you know, in light of what Carl Sagan said, do I still think that origin is a good argument? Yes, I still think it's a fucking good argument. And I guess I could answer your question with a question of my own. Is it still a good argument where we switch the premise from God to the Noid? I mean, is it legitimate for me to say to you that, you know, oh, well, sure, maybe the Noid began as a mascot to sell pizza, but the idea has moved beyond that now. The origins don't matter anymore. Now we're just questioning, you know, whether this anthropomorphic pizza-thieving bunny creature exists. So who cares what the origin is? You just consider the idea by its own merits. No, because it has a fucking origin, and the origin is retarded. Alright, next question. Actually, no, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck the next question. I've already wasted 7 goddamn minutes on this, so I might as well blow the full 10, because you got me fired up, you fucking dingbat. Alright, now, I know what the standard agnostic rebuttals to what I've just said will be. They'll say, oh, well, we have to treat the possibility of a supreme being much more seriously than the possibility that the Noid could exist. Well, no, you fucking don't. They're the same thing. And there's 2 arguments that agnostics will typically use to try to lend the concept of a creator more credibility than the concept of elves, fairies, leprechauns, or the fucking Noid. What they'll say is, well, one, they'll fall back on the argument of consensus. They'll say, well, a whole lot of people believe in God, so there must be something to it. No, dickheads. A lot of people used to believe the world was flat. A lot of people used to worship the sun. A lot of people voted for Bush. People believe all kinds of stupid shit. And that doesn't prove a goddamn thing. The other argument they'll use, the second argument, is, they'll say, oh, well, the idea of a creator is a lot more logical than the idea that leprechauns could exist or the Noid could exist. You know, the world's here, so obviously somebody had to create it. No, that doesn't follow logically at all. That's like saying that lightning exists, therefore we have to entertain the possibility that Zeus hurled it down from Mount Olympus. No, it's every bit as fucking naive and stupid. We don't have the answer yet to how the universe got here, what its origins are, just as we once didn't have the answer to where lightning comes from, but those answers will come in time. And making up a bullshit answer isn't logical at all. I mean, it's no more logical than me saying that the universe was simply always here. It just always existed. And don't fucking laugh, because if you entertain the possibility that talking snakes and virgin births are real, then you forfeited your right to ridicule any fucking theorem about my place in the cosmos that I see fit to postulate, alright? It doesn't deserve the credibility that you guys give it. The entire God question doesn't deserve that credibility. Agnosticism is retarded. So yeah, you got me fired up. Congratulations. Fake Sagan out.